Welcome to this webinar on the new Serial Mash, which has many new and improved features for you to use. Firstly, let's look at how you and your pupils can get into Serial Mash. Whether you are logged in as a teacher or a pupil, Serial Mash can be accessed via the Purple Mash homepage by clicking on the Reading button. In here, you will find a number of reading tools and writing templates related to some of our favourite authors. If you scroll right up to the top of the page in the reading area, you'll find the button that will take you into Serial Mash. If your school subscribes to Serial Mash, then you will have access to all of the resources, including our full selection of books in our libraries from Key Stage 1 all the way up to Key Stage 2. Another way to access Serial Mash is to use the new product switch menu. This allows teachers and children to switch between the following products, regardless of what product they are in: Purple Mash, Serial Mash, Python in Pieces, .com, and for teachers only, Striver. Once you're in Serial Mash, you will see that the tabs at the top look very similar to those you'll be used to seeing in Purple Mash. At the top of the home page of Serial Mash, you'll see our featured panel of books, which you can scroll through. Underneath our featured panel, you'll find our top picks for this week. And underneath that, if you have begun reading a book, you'll see your recent reads, which you can click on to continue reading. And if you've favorited any of your favorite books, they will be here at the bottom. Let's click on the Libraries button at the top tab here to see our extensive library of books for children aged 5 all the way up to 11. Diamonds is recommended for children aged 5 to 7, Key Stage 1. Emeralds 7 to 9, so lower Key Stage 2, and Sapphires upper Key Stage 2. Firebolts is also recommended for upper Key Stage 2. The content of these books will appeal to your older learners, but the reading level is slightly easier. Please note that the children, when they are logged into Serial Mash, will not see the recommended ages for each of these libraries. Let's click into Sapphires, which is recommended for upper Key Stage 2. The books are sorted into genre, so you can choose from adventure stories, contemporary stories, crime, dystopian, fantasy, historical fiction, mystery, myths and legends, science fiction, spooky stories. Many of these books will appear in different sections, such as Nightmare Machine here is in the spooky section, whilst it's also in the science fiction area. Once you've chosen the book you want to read, you can click on it and begin reading. In this particular book by Johnny Zucker, there are 5 different chapters. After I've read each chapter, I could complete some online multiple choice activities, sequencing activities, SPAG, open-ended questions, writing template that follows on from the content in the chapter. Also, as a teacher, I'll be able to look further at other teaching resources for that particular chapter. Now, if I want to add this to my favourites so that I can access it from the home page in Serial Mash, I can click on the Add to Favourites button there. And if I want to see further books by this same author, I can click on this hyperlink up here. It will take me to the information page all about Johnny Zucker, the author, and show other books here that he's written for us in Serial Mash. As a teacher, if I want my children to read this book so they can access it via their login in Serial Mash, I can schedule it for my class, either individual pupils, whole class, or perhaps multiple classes. If I select the schedule activity, I can then select which chapters of the book I want the children to read. I could select all activities, or I can choose my selected activities. If I select that checkbox there, then click the next button, you'll see the 5 chapter tabs along the top here. I'm going to select the multiple choice, the SPAG activity, and the writing activity for chapter 1. Let's have a look at chapter 2. I'll do the same, multiple choice. This time I might get them to do the sequencing activity and again do the writing template that follows on from the chapter. And click next. This is where I assign it to my class or individual children within my class. Let's assign this to the whole of class 1. If you have reading groups set up, then this is where you could assign it to your individual reading groups. And that in particular for Purple Group includes those 2 children. And click next. On this page, you can choose the starting date that the children will read that chapter and when the activities are due. In this case, it is selected the Serialized Schedule button. The first chapter will be active from today's date, And then each subsequent chapter will be scheduled 1 week from today. You can change these dates by clicking in the start date there and selecting the date that you would like it to be set from, and give my children until the following Thursday to complete this activity. Please note that each chapter must start after the previous chapter is due. If you don't wish to serialize the scheduling of the chapters and activities, you can deselect that checkbox. This will mean that all of the chapters and all of the activities that I've assigned to the class will be available from this date until this date via the children's scheduled area at the top. And we're going to click next. And I'm going to add that schedule to my class. If I go to my schedule area up here, I can see which books I have scheduled for my class to read. This one, clicking on the Future tab, is the one that I've just set because it's starting tomorrow. If I want to make any changes to the schedule, I can click on View Schedule and I can edit the schedule there. I can change the selected activities I want to assign, and I can change the class that I want to assign it to. And again, I can change the start and due dates for each of the chapters and save those changes. Let's now see what this looks like from a child's point of view. If I click on my avatar at the top there and go down to this very useful feature here called Impersonate Pupil Login, I'm going to impersonate this pupil in class 1, and you can now see I'm impersonating her. There's her avatar at the top there. Let's go up to her schedule area and see which books have been set for her. I'm going to go to the task here. She's already started this actually earlier today, so she can continue reading chapter 1. And it will pick up where she's left off. So I'm at the end of the book. Let's go back to the library. Now, if I scroll down to the activities underneath, I can let the teacher know that I've read this. Click on that box there, and I can start some of these activities. Now, some of these I've already started earlier. Some, for example, I've already handed in, and I'll be able to see the work, and you'll see the teacher has made a comment on each of these as well. So I'll show you as a teacher how you can do that in a minute. Now, the work that child has completed already in Bigfoot Adventure will be up here in the work area. If I click on that, you'll see the activities on chapter 1, and I can see there a couple of them. For example, the multiple choice quiz. She's attempted twice. The first time she attempted it, version 1, she got 0 out of 5, and I can click on there to see what the score is. The second time she attempted the multiple choice quiz, she got 4 out of 5. You'll also see that the teacher and the pupil have made comments on this particular activity. If I click on this button here, there is the pupil's comment and the teacher has added a comment. So let's have a look at the rainy day poem that she's begun. The teacher's made a comment here. Let's click on that and open it up. So let's go into this rainy day poem and see if we can write a little bit more in here. So when children are completing activities, they can write anything they like in their poem, for example, and use the drop-down menu. Click the Save button. Let's exit out of that activity, and you'll see it's been modified a little bit more today. Now, while I'm here as a pupil, you will also notice the Journal tab at the top there. Let's click on the Journal tab. In a child's journal, it automatically records which chapters of the Serial Mash books that they have read and how long it took them. And you can see here the teacher has added some comments and some stickers on there for good reading. Now, if the child or the parent wants to make some comments, they can click inside this box here and they can add a comment. So parents can sign in here to say that they have read with their child and click Save, and you'll see the child's comment in there with the parent's signature underneath as well. Let's go back to being the teacher and see what we can see in the journal area. And you'll notice I have an alert telling me that a child has read a chapter in Bigfoot, and underneath here some of the work has been completed and handed in as well. Let's go up to the work area and let's have a look at the work that's been completed by the pupils in my class for Bigfoot Adventure. Let's go down to chapter 1 here, and I can see the work that's been completed, and you'll see the work is saved with the name of the child as the file name. So if I want to see Alex's work here, I can click on that and it will drop down the different versions of this activity that he's completed. I can mark it by clicking the mark button, so I can see his acrostic poem in the left hand side, and I can add some comments in here, and I can click done. There are further options here which will allow me to delete this piece of work, or if I want to print it off, I can do so there. I can also view my comments and those of my pupil if they've added any. Let's go to the journal area now and see what that looks like from a teacher's point of view. In this journal area, you will see the classes that you are assigned to in Serial Mash. I'm assigned to all of these classes. I'm going to select class 1 and I'm going to come down here and have a look at this pupil's journal. Here is this child's reading journal with the names of the books that she's read, how long she read for on those dates. I can see her comment and I can see her parents' signature, and I can see an area where I can add comments in here. So I could select in here, write a comment and select a sticker and save that. The children will of course then see that in their journal area. The Serial Mash journal area is a very powerful tool for teachers. It will automatically record any reading a child has done from a Serial Mash book, so long as they've read for more than 30 seconds. You can also manually add books to the reading journal that aren't a part of Serial Mash. Manually adding a book to the journal can be done by both teachers and pupils by clicking the manual entry button. You put in the date and how long you read the book for, then click Next, and you can now search for the book title. It should then appear for you automatically. Select the book you're reading, then click Next. You can then add any teacher comments if you've been reading with the pupil. You'll then get an overview of what you've just created, and if you're happy, click the Create button. Let's have a look now at the data area in Serial Mash. The data area shows data for the number of times a child has read and also the number of minutes for each reading session. Every time a child reads a Serial Mash book, data is collected automatically in the data area, just as we've seen it automatically appear in the journal area. Any manual entries added to the journal area by either the teacher or the pupil will also collate in the data area. Teachers can select the date range for the data they want to see and select a week, day, month, or total view for the data within that specified date range. You can also drill down to view the data for individual pupils in the class and select whether to view the number of sessions, the reading time, or both. Teachers can export the selected data by clicking on the Export button, which will produce the data in an Excel spreadsheet. The last thing we'll look at in this webinar are the Serial Mash settings. The Serial Mash settings allow teachers to control whether book search is on and whether the e-reader is available to pupils. The book search refers to the journal area, and when you're adding a manual entry to the journal, whether you want it to automatically search for the book when you begin typing the title. The e-reader refers to the reader in Serial Mash for Serial Mash books that will read the book out loud to pupils. To view the Serial Mash settings, click on the drop-down menu next to your name and select the Settings button. In this webinar, we have looked at the features and facets of the brand new Serial Mash library. We hope you love it as much as we do.